everybody. Welcome back. Whoever you are. I'm trusting there are people out there watching, just waiting for the next part, which is part 5. Here it is. I think it's part 5. I better write it down. I'm losing track. Anyway, I am doing great. And I got interrupted abruptly during the last one by the cleaning lady, which I'm not complaining about that because how nice to have somebody come in and clean my room for me. But anyway, I was in the middle of something, so let's pick that up. But before I start, I just want to mention, you know, if you're dedicated to your practice of art, it's really important in a way to have sort of a pipeline. I think of it as a pipeline. Like I always have several pieces in progress. I'm looking for subject matter, and then I'm doing a couple of sketches, quick sketches, you know, which are building up, right? And then I have a painting that I've started, which maybe needs to dry because I'm going to do a second layer. And so then I work on something else. And I you know, it's like some are at the beginning, some are in the middle, and some are at the end. And I actually have something to say about this, which is, you know, painting, different stages of the painting require different things from you. I think the beginning of a painting, not particularly watercolor, this is more about oil painting, but or acrylics. But the beginning of the painting, I am the most free. Because what I'm thinking is that whatever I'm going to do is probably not the end result anyway. I'm going to layer and I'm going to put stuff over top. And in some ways, I do that with my watercolor now because I use mixed media. But most people use watercolor in a way where you need to be a little bit more thoughtful. Because, you know, once you lose your whites, you can't get them back unless you use mixed media. So if you're only using watercolor, it's a little bit more restricted. But in any event, the beginning of the painting, I think you should be free regardless. Even if it's watercolor, you've made a plan. And when you start, you should be free because you're laying down the surface and the texture for whatever layers come after. And most people want to get loose. They want to get loose. I hear this all the time, but they don't do it. And part of it is they think if they start, you know, and they do a lot of analysis and then they get loose later, no, it doesn't work that way. You have to be loose in the beginning. Trust me on this. I'm going to make a whole video about this whole being loose thing because I have some ideas, some strategies. Anyway, so the beginning, you're the most free. The middle part of a painting is problem solving. Hopefully, if you're free in the beginning, you're going to create a problem of some, you know, you're going to create a situation that you then have to say, oh, okay, what just happened? What can I do? You know, and I think that's very satisfying as well, mostly because having been at this for a while, I have a lot of faith that given enough time and interest, I will be able to work myself out of whatever jam I got myself into. And then the third stage is the finishing. And this is my least favorite stage because you're the most restricted because you're working around things that you already like and are already successful. And you're like, oh, you're just trying to get it over the finish line without wrecking it. And that's not fun. So if you can stay as open and willing to risk it all right to the end, that's actually the goal. That's the best place to be. So I didn't expect to go into all that, but I think it's important stuff. So let me just go back to this, which is what I was going to work on last time we met. Okay, so here's my picture. It's clipped here because I have a fan on, and if I unclip this, it will blow away. Look at this. Anyway, here's my little sketch. And what I said last time was I want to make the water lighter and perhaps this part darker. Now, light and dark is relative situation. So I'm going to go with, I know I want to make this lighter, so I might not have to do anything to this once I make it lighter. So I'm going to wait and see. So I got some gouache, white gouache here with a little bit of blue. And I've got kind of a flat brush. You could do this with a round brush as well. And I'm going to do mostly blue, just maybe a little hint or excuse me, mostly white, little hint of blue. We'll see how that looks, do a little test. Does it look lighter? Not that well, a little bit lighter. So what I'm going to do is, because it's water, it can be milky. Oh yeah. So I'm just going to paint that on there. Oh yeah. That might do the trick. I might not have to do anything else. But what I was going to say was, because it's water and wateriness, you can also like go right in, look at that, and pick up some more white and make it lighter, just wet on wet in the paint. Sort of the reflection of the buildingness, kind of cool. So I'm not really even looking at the building, kind of making up a little bit of architecture, but it's really fun to just play with these elements without being literal. Okay, I think I'm good. Oh, I also want to make the boat, work on the boat, but that's going to be just with my drawing media. So that's good. So I think I also want to lighten the sky just a tad. Add a little bit more blue. Oh, too much. See that? I sort of mixed my color right on the paper. Now this, I'm using a lot of water, so this requires paper that will take it. And I leave a little bit of the old blue, like you can see it right there. I don't need to get rid of it completely. That little echo is lovely, you know? Oh yeah. And then as I approach the plantness, my brush strokes get a little bit more descriptive, so that it still looks like plants. So if I altered the sky, okay, good. And as your paint dries, your colors change. It's already absorbing into this paper and getting darker. So I'm coming over with some more, you know, just kind of sort of watch it. But every stroke is another opportunity to do something fun. Good. Okay, I'm happy with that. So let me show you a couple other things that are in the pipeline. And I'll post a picture. I actually might make this darker now that I'm looking at it, but we'll see. Don't decide too soon where it ends. So let's see. Want to grab something for you. I actually saw this wonderful boat. It was nighttime, and I saw this incredible boat on the little bit up on the shore, and I took a picture. And the photograph is so great, but I'm not going to show you the photograph because it's going to be hard to make the art even better than the photograph. But that's my goal, and so I don't want you to have the photograph to compare it to, but I can show you. Okay, here is. Actually, let me go back to this real quick. Here is the sketch. And here's the little sketch of the boat. And I'm going to show you just the first layer. So I'm pretty excited about it, but it has to get really dark because it's the light and dark that is so beautiful and makes this just image like glow. And I'm going to have to do several layers to pull that off. So I'm just going to show you. Oh, look at this. This is my first layer. So everything's going to get darker, except for just this one side of the boat and like the front. Anyway, I'm very excited. I'll share this with you as it goes along. Okay, I think the other thing I was working on was this image. it was a laundromat, and this is as far as I got. So this is what I'm going to work on right now while you're watching. See if I can get out wide enough. I can't really raise up this tripod too much. But there we go. Okay, so I'm going to do one more layer. I'll tell you about my strategy in a second. Okay, so just to sort of refresh, this, as I said, this is a laundry area, and my goal is to basically cover all the light of the paper this time around, just by layering, and I'm purposefully using colors that aren't necessarily the final colors, because this one I really want to incorporate the collage. And so in a way you have to do it wrong on purpose, because if you do it right, but then there's no reason to do anything, you know. It's like, it's what I goes back to what I said before about getting into trouble and then having to respond. And so I'm just going to basically cover the light of the paper, and my strategy for that is just adding warms and cools. Okay, so and then the high key colors are basically in the clothing. And then there is some signage on the windows glass, which I might do later. But anyway, so I'm just going to play with getting some things done. And this is my value chart, which is helpful. If I put down, it hopefully won't blow away, because my fan is going crazy. Okay, so let me start with the sidewalk. I often start with something that is not necessarily easy, but something I'm not worried about. So I'm just picking up a very generic, let me bring this over here so you can see what the heck I'm doing. Actually, I'm just using what's in my pan, because I want it to be really grayed down. So I'm picking up extra colors and sort of combining all these things I have here in my tray. And then that's a kind of a way of cleaning your tray too, because I'm getting them all wet, and now I can just come over and like wipe that out easily. Excuse me. Some more water. Okay, so here we go. And I go around my sort of one architectural feature here, and I go right up into the floor too. You know, it's really fun to paint over things you've already done. Look at that. Yeah, no problem. Here, I'm gonna go here. I can always make this pot more bright or another color if I want to. So now I've established some texture. And now look at this. I can go over that, but it's still different because the paint soaked in a little bit, and now it's going to be different. And if I want to get a tissue, which I often do, or a piece of cardboard and scrape something, you know, just to create more texture. Because again, this is sort of the base for what is coming next. Oh, it's so much fun. Okay, let me switch to, let's see, where else might I want warm? How about up here? Again, I'm going to leave the light of sort of some architecture. I can go over it later, but I'm establishing that mark. Good. Do a little here and there. Got a whole section over here with nothing going on. Okay, now I'm going to switch to Payne's Gray, which is a very, very neutral, cool Mr. Gray. And I'm going to come in, whoa, again, leaving my architecture. You know, it's an interior. Who's to say what's in there? You're looking through the window. It should be mysterious. So you don't really have to describe anything. You just got to make interesting shapes. In this case, a lot of squarish shapes. Okay. Get some over here. You can see I just made that mark, but it's fixed because it's soaked into the paper. There we go. And this is cool, so I'm going to make this warm. Again, I'm next to my plant, so I'm going to leave my little bit of mark to honor my plant. That's there. Same with this. See that? I'm leaving a little light that I'll paint green later. I'm also establishing another bit of laundry over here. Oh, yeah, it's happening. Painting should be fun. Painting should absolutely be fun. If it's not fun, something's wrong. Okay, let's do a little bit of dark here. This is like a shadow. I might end up making this blue. But here we go. A little darker. Go right over that blue as well. So, you know, I'm just layering, making everything a little bit more related, you know. Okay, I'm going to actually do some work on the laundry. And all this, I want this to be sort of some bright colors, not all bright colors. I'm going to call a little attention over here. As I go out to the sides, I tend to get less specific. What I did right there is I don't want them all super long and straight, so I just kind of did something different. Yeah. Maybe a little bright blue, cerulean blue. Oh yeah. And now I'm going to take some of that Payne's gray, maybe a little sepia. So it's a complex color. I'm going to make this darker. But I'm not, it's seeping up into my red, which is totally fine. Also, I'm sort of correct, you know, sculpting those clothes. Do some at the top. And then as I go away from the dark edge, I kind of play with a new pattern up there. And you can take a little bit. I just cleaned my brush and just took a little bit of water. See that? So I'm just spraying down a little bit more of the white. And this kind of ran up, so rather than fight it, I'm gonna incorporate it. Nothing is a mistake. You just might have to change what you were gonna do. Change the plan a little bit. Okay, that looks pretty good. Although, I don't know, my clothes here at the bottom look a little too stiff. I'm gonna mess them up. And with this particular paper, you can sort of pick up the color a little bit, soften, pick it up, and then when it dries, I can come in and make this part dark again. So I can totally play. And if you do want some reflection, I'm going to grab some of that white that I had from the boat that I did. See that? Just start to play with, maybe there's reflection in that mirror. Can mess it up. Right? Windows are so much fun because you're seeing light and color reflected from like even across the street. Let's say there's some sky over there. Look at that. There's some blue sky. Oops, it's kind of a little bit dark. It's okay, like blue sky reflected from across the way. Didn't do that very well, but you get the idea. Blue sky over here, reflection on the glass, and then what's inside. You know, you're playing with what we can see inside the building, which is pretty fun. Okay, I'm almost done. I have most of the white covered. This is my plant. It's not that important to get this down right now, but I said I was going to cover my white, and by golly, I'm going to do what I said. So I mixed just a sap green, and I go up and I do some stuff, and I'm sort of doing the base, right? And then I get a little bit darker. Look at that. And just add some variation so your plant has some value contrast. Good. And then just watch for any weird things going on that you got to shift or fix. And then the only other thing that I'll do is I'm going to tighten up, and I'll show you this. You can do this with, you don't have to do this with paint. You can do it with a marker, with a pencil. But I'm just going to tighten up some of my edges. Now, see how wonky this is? Now, I like wonky. But if you are a person who likes a little bit more precision, you can always tighten it up. And this goes back again to, you got to start loose and then decide how much you want to straighten things out. But if you start straightened out, you're kind of stuck with straightened out. You know what I'm saying? And even that, I straightened that out, and then with the paint on my brush, I just made more texture in that wall, which I think is pretty cool. So, okay, I think that's it for now. I'll show you the next layer, maybe next time. Again, I am in the midst of the pipeline. So I hope this is good for you, because you're not seeing me take one piece from start to finish necessarily. But I'm showing you how this whole week is evolving, where I'm just drawing every day, painting every day. Like I said, I haven't done collage every day, but I'm on it, because this is the one. So, okay, that's it for now. Thanks for watching. Thanks so much. And thanks those of you that did leave comments. I really, really appreciate it. Because this is a labor of love, and I'm sending it out to the world, and I hope people are watching. So let me know. Okay, there's so many horrible videos out there. That's why I started making videos, because I wanted to make this kind of video that's real and didn't have a million cuts and cheesy music and too much talking. So hopefully I'm doing a good job, but doing it anyway. Okay, see you later. Bye. I'm rambling. Back to work.